I'm a lifelong hardcore nerd and proud of it. From the Sharp MZ80K my parents bought me back in 1979 to the 72 bulb triple bridge RFID enabled smart home hub I built a couple of years ago, I'll be a dork till I die. That love of innovation and technology meant that photography was always going to be something that spoke to me. And in fact, I've been a photography nerd for longer than I've been a computer nerd. I don't think I'm alone in this either. Photography attracts nerds like politics attracts sociopaths. At times, it feels like we're simply fulfilling some star-written destiny. But that love of technology can become a problem when it overshadows any kind of expression of artistic vision or emotional truth, particularly when it also leads to a rigid adherence to a set of rules, both written and unwritten, and both creative and technical. So, the question is this. Is your fixation on focal planes, bokeh, hyperfocal distance and perspective distortion getting in the way of your photography? Is that quest for the sharpest lens, the perfect camera bag, and the fastest autofocus all just a distraction? I'm going to science the heck out of this. Sweet Jesus, do photographers like to get buried in the minutiae? I'm guessing every hobby or interest has its fair share of nerds. And though we're probably even worse than petrol heads, at least we don't pretend there's anything cool about arguing over the merits of direct fuel versus port fuel injection systems. The thing is though, while automotive enthusiasts seem to forget that a car is a device designed in theory to get you quickly from A to B without getting wet, a camera is designed to take photographs. When you start out in photography, it's easy to become obsessed not just with the gear, but with the rules and procedures, because we're led to believe that doing so will result in better photographs. And while a good understanding of the technical aspects of photography is useful, I think that once you've grasped the basics of things like the exposure triangle, you should just concentrate on, taking interesting photographs. I'd even say there's a strong argument for completely ignoring all the essential non-technical rules of photography when you're starting out and just experimenting with the camera. The rule of thirds, for instance, is, I guess, an attempt to steer photographers away from always placing the subject of the photograph in the dead center of the frame. But the way some photographers stick religiously to those thirds, you'd think their cameras were rigged to deliver a shutter button triggered electric shock if they strayed outside the lines. Learning what looks pleasing to your eye, irrelevant of the subject's location on the old golden ratio, will result in more creative images. Your shit/keeper ratio may be a bit skewed in favour of shit at first, but at least they won't all be boring, near identical compositions. I think it's fair to say that popular photography YouTubers give a slightly distorted impression of the photographic process too. I'm not going to throw shade on any photographer in particular, but it's clear that the chin-stroking rationale they give for how they composed a particular photograph is often scripted after they've taken it, not before. In other words, they use their experience to spot a photographic opportunity and their technical knowledge to make a photograph, and then they break down those processes for the punters at home, which is all well and good, but it gives the impression that you have to stand there making rectangles with your fingers before you take the shot. If you like doing it that way, thinking deep thoughts before taking a photograph, then crack on. Just know that you don't have to, and know also that many of the big name photographers on this platform, despite all outward appearances, don't do it either. There is no right way to compose a photograph any more than there is a right way to write a poem, sketch a drawing, or tell a story. This adherence to accepted wisdom is brutally apparent in the other part of photography, the gear. Photography is a technical art form, of that there is no mistake, but often the gear seems to take on more importance than the photographs. If only I had more megapixels, if only I had a red band lens, if only I had a self-erecting, self-leveling, tea-making, deep tissue massaging tripod. In our nerd-like obsession with the subtleties of hardware, we sometimes lose sight of the truth. Good photographs are taken by good photographers, not good cameras. I mean, the difference between an incredible meal in one restaurant and a shitty meal in another isn't down to the fact that one chef's got better knives than the other. Years ago, I read an article about a Russian photographer by the name of Alexei Klyazhitov who produced the most incredible macro shots of snowflakes I'd ever seen. Did he produce these magnificent works of art with a $15,000 camera and high-end German glass? Nope. He made them with a banged-up Canon PowerShot A650 with an old Russian Helios lens jerry-rigged onto the front of it with gaffer tape. And sticking with that theme for a second, Wilson A. Bentley, the pioneer of snowflake photography, managed to produce incredible photographs all the way back in the Edwardian era with a cheap microscope and a bellows camera. We photography nerds often stress about the various technical specifications of the equipment we buy, when the truth is that none of it really matters. In recent years, there's been a rediscovery of analog film, older digital cameras, and JPEG photography, because we've come to realize that a good photograph is not defined by its pixel resolution. Camera equipment is so good these days that the differences between products is usually minimal. It's in the camera manufacturer's best interest to perpetuate the update cycle, but not always in the photographer's. And if you are upgrading or moving from one brand to another, then don't let decision paralysis get the better of you. It's better to make a decision on a new piece of equipment rather than agonizing about it for months, because there is never a perfect time to buy something. Whatever you get will be superseded by some marginally better product a few weeks or a couple of months after you make your purchase. But the newer product doesn't suddenly make yours worthless. I bought a Mavic 2 Pro drone over 6 years ago. I've watched as the Air 2, Air 2S, Air 3, Mavic 3, Mavic 3 Cine, Mavic 3 Classic, Mavic 3 Pro, Mavic Mini, Mini SE, Mini 2, Mini 2 SE, Mini 3 Pro, Mini 3, Mini 4 Pro, FPV and Avata rolled out the back door in Shenzhen, but nothing has compelled me to upgrade. The new telephoto lenses on the Mavic 3 range look pretty sweet, but you'd still be hard pushed to tell the difference between video shot on my 2 Pro's 10-bit sensor and video shot on the latest Mavic 3 or Mini 4 Pro, particularly once that footage has been uploaded to YouTube. The point is, we live in a consumer-focused world in which we are targets in a cyclical product marketing engine, and the time and energy we spend wondering about that next big upgrade is time we could spend simply using the gear we've already got. Gear companies spend millions each year generating a kind of latent snobbishness that manifests itself at the checkout in camera stores. Consider how we are taught to think about the lens that gets bundled with our new camera. Despite the fact that they're often excellent, kit lenses usually languish in the camera bag, never seeing action until the day the camera is sold. Poor quality kit lenses used to be an issue back in the early DSLR days, perhaps, but it's simply not the case anymore. I'm filming this on the 18-55mm kit lens that came with my X-T4. It's a brilliant bit of glass with a versatile focal length equivalent to a 27-84mm lens on a full frame, fast f2.8 aperture, in-lens stabilization, and top-notch image quality. The influence of the big content creators here on YouTube creates a distorted and almost elitist worldview. We think we must have that incredible prime for our own content or it will look terrible. It's hard to ignore the aspirational messaging implicit in the reviews of the latest, greatest lenses, cameras, filters, and accessories here on YouTube. But ultimately, it's just a distraction. By all means, upgrade your equipment. I'm not going to tell you how to spend your own money buying new lenses and cameras, but be led by your actual requirements, not some bullshit aspirational marketing planted in your brain by content creators with a vested interest in the product upgrade cycle. Instead of stressing about the hyperfocal distance on some German-made lens, look for an interesting angle, a new perspective, an interesting location, an emotional vibe. Make a photograph that is distinctive and recognizable as being yours, and it won't matter what lens or camera or tripod you use. After all, no one ever looked at a breathtaking photograph and said, "Wow, what perfectly corrected barrel distortion." And that will do us for this video. Are you a technical obsessive stressing about the inverse square law? Or have you let go of all that stuff and let your subconscious guide you? Do let me know in the comments section down below. And if you got value from this content, then do please hit the old like button and consider subscribing for more photo, video and drone related content from yours truly. Till the next time guys, ta-ta!